Welcome back, everybody, to Building Foundations, the podcast by DGI Waterproofing.
That's right.
This is episode 13. And last episode, we did a deep dive into flood prevention strategies for Toronto and the GTA.
Right in our backyard.
Yeah, and, prepping for today, it really hit me just how many myths and misconceptions there are about basement waterproofing.
Oh, yeah, tons.
So today, let's just debunk them. Bust those myths wide open.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, they hear things, from their neighbors or uncles or
Right.
at a backyard barbecue,
Right.
and suddenly it's fact.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's really important to know the truth because it can save you a lot of money and headaches down the road.
Absolutely. Okay, so myth number one that I hear all the time, waterproofing is only for homes that already have, visible leaks and water issues. If it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing.
It's like saying you only need car insurance after you've had an accident. The truth is that all basements are susceptible to water damage, whether you see it or not.
Right.
It doesn't matter if your basement is finished or unfinished. Toronto's climate is crazy. We have those freeze-thaw cycles and all the different soil types, and even just your house settling over time can cause issues.
So what you're saying is that even if I don't have a swimming pool in my basement right now, that doesn't mean I'm in the clear.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Even a little bit of moisture can turn into a big problem down the road. We're talking mold growth, foundation issues, that musty smell, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's important to be proactive.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But what about this whole DIY waterproofing thing? There are a lot of videos online, tutorials. People think they can just kind of handle it themselves.
We love a good DIY project as much as the next person, but
Yeah.
waterproofing, it's a whole other beast.
Okay.
Imagine trying to rewire your entire house after watching, a 5-minute YouTube video, right?
Oh, yeah?
Could you do it? Maybe. But would you want to risk it?
No, probably not a good idea.
Probably not.
Especially with something as important as the foundation of my house.
Exactly. It's not just about slapping on some sealant and hoping for the best, right? It's about understanding how water behaves, identifying the source of the problem, and choosing the right solution. And sometimes that involves interior drainage, sometimes it's exterior excavation. Oftentimes it's a combination of the two, and it really takes experience and expertise to assess the situation properly and come up with the right plan.
So you're saying YouTube can't teach you years of on-the-job experience?
Yeah, shocking, I know.
Well, I'm starting to realize that it's probably best to call in the pros when it comes to something this important. My house is my biggest investment. I don't want to mess around with that.
Makes sense.
Okay, moving on to another myth that I think a lot of people believe, that waterproofing is a one-time fix. You get it done, you're good forever.
I wish it were that simple.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, waterproofing is not a set it and forget it kind of thing. It's more like getting regular checkups at the doctor, right? Even if you feel healthy now, you still go for those appointments to catch potential problems early.
Yeah, preventative.
Exactly.
So even with a professionally waterproofed basement, I still need to be proactive. I need to, get it checked out, inspect it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Regular inspections are key. Cracks can develop, sealant can wear down over time. Even your landscaping can shift and affect water flow.
Right.
So we always tell our clients, we're here for the long haul.
I like that.
It's about building a relationship, not just offering a quick fix.
It's like finding a good mechanic that you can trust.
Exactly.
Someone who's got your car's best interests in mind.
Exactly.
Okay, so another myth that I think I've definitely fallen for in the past, this whole idea that you can just slap on some waterproof paint and call it a day.
Oh, the waterproof paint myth.
Yeah.
One of the most persistent myths out there. I get it. It seems so easy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just a quick coat of paint.
Yeah.
And your basement's dry.
Problem solved.
But it's just not that simple.
Okay, I'm sensing a but here.
Waterproof paint does have its uses. It can help with, minor dampness, surface moisture, things like that. But it's not a substitute for a proper waterproofing system.
So waterproof paint is like wearing a light jacket on a rainy day.
Exactly.
It might keep you dry for a little bit, but if a storm rolls in,
Right, if you're in a downpour.
you're going to need something a little more heavy duty.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when we're talking about serious basement waterproofing, what are we really talking about here?
We're talking about a system, a multi-layered approach that's tailored to your specific needs.
Okay?
It could involve exterior weeping tile systems, interior drainage, sump pumps, crack repair, the whole shebang.
Right, the whole 9 yards. So it's not just about stopping the water once it's already inside. It's about preventing it from getting there in the first place.
That's the key.
Okay.
We call it a whole house approach.
Okay.
We consider everything, your foundation, the grading, downspouts, even the type of soil you have. It all plays a role.
Okay, wow, that's a lot to consider. And speaking of things to consider, let's talk about cost. A lot of people just assume that professional waterproofing is going to break the bank.
Yeah, cost is a big factor for any homeowner,
Right.
but honestly, compare the cost of waterproofing now to the potential cost of fixing a flooded basement later.
Oof. Yeah, that's not even a fair fight. Water damage can get really expensive really fast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Plus, think of it this way. Waterproofing adds value to your home. It's an investment that protects your biggest asset.
So it's kind of like those energy efficient upgrades that you can do that save you money in the long run.
Exactly.
Yeah, smart move. For your wallet and for your peace of mind.
Absolutely.
Okay, one last myth that I want to address before we wrap up part one. I always thought that waterproofing meant like major digging, turning my entire yard into a construction zone.
That's a common misconception.
Is that true?
It's not always the case.
Okay.
Yes, sometimes we need to excavate for exterior waterproofing, but there are also incredibly effective interior solutions, and often the best approach is a combination of both.
So it's not necessarily about these like huge, massive construction projects.
Not always.
Okay, that's good to know.
We customize our approach based on your home's unique needs and, of course, your budget.
After tackling those first few myths, I'm starting to realize how much I don't know about waterproofing. But hey, that's what we're here for, right?
Absolutely.
Bust those myths and get to the real deal.
That's what we do.
Okay, so what's next on our myth-busting agenda?
All right, let's talk about interior waterproofing. Some people think that interior waterproofing is just as effective as exterior waterproofing,
Okay.
but that's not quite right.
So it's kind of thinking a Band-Aid will fix a broken bone.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it might be a bit of the exaggeration,
Sure.
but you get the idea. So interior waterproofing solutions, like sump pumps and drainage systems, they are fantastic tools. We use them all the time.
Right.
But they're primarily focused on managing water that's already made its way inside.
So it's like damage control, not necessarily prevention.
Exactly, precisely. They're your last line of defense. They're there to help remove water and protect your belongings once the water's already there. But they don't address the root cause of the problem, which is often water seeping in from the outside.
That's where exterior waterproofing comes in?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exterior waterproofing tackles the problem at the source.
Okay.
We're talking about sealing those foundation walls, installing proper weeping tile systems to redirect water away from your home's foundation. It's like building a fortress to keep the water out in the first place.
It sounds like a much more comprehensive approach.
It is.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, the most effective strategy involves a combination of both interior and exterior methods.
Okay.
So we like to say we're creating a waterproof belt and suspenders situation for your basement.
I love that analogy.
Gotta have both.
No chance of those water woes sneaking past you with that kind of protection.
Nope. Okay, so we've debunked the myth that interior waterproofing is enough on its own. What about the misconception that all these fancy waterproofing systems make things like French drains and sump pumps obsolete?
That's a good one. Look, French drains and sump pumps are still incredibly valuable tools in our waterproofing arsenal.
Right.
But they're not a replacement for a comprehensive system. So it's like thinking you don't need a fire extinguisher just because you have a sprinkler system.
Exactly. Great analogy.
They work together.
They work together to provide multiple layers of protection.
Okay.
So the exterior waterproofing stops the water from getting in, and the French drain or sump pump acts as a backup, just in case any water does manage to find its way inside.
It's all about having that peace of mind, knowing that your basement is protected from all angles.
Exactly.
Speaking of things that offer a false sense of security, let's talk about waterproof paint again. Is it really the miracle solution some people make it out to be?
The waterproof paint myth.
Yeah.
It's one of the most persistent ones out there. Honestly, I get it. It seems like such an easy fix, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just slap on a coat of paint and damn, your basement's dry.
Yeah, I've definitely fallen for that one myself. But I'm guessing it's not that simple.
You guessed right.
Okay.
Waterproof paint does have its uses. It can be helpful for managing, minor dampness and surface moisture. But when it comes to actual waterproofing,
Right.
It's just not enough.
So it's like trying to hold back a tidal wave with a sheet of paper.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Water is incredibly persistent. It'll find a way through even the tiniest cracks and openings. Especially with the extreme temperature changes we get here in Toronto, waterproof paint might slow it down a bit,
Right.
but it's not going to stop it.
So when it comes to serious water intrusion, we need to bring in the big guns.
You got it.
The actual waterproofing systems.
Exactly. Remember, we're talking about protecting the structural integrity of your home here, not just covering up a cosmetic issue.
Right. It's the foundation of your house. Okay, myth busted. Waterproof paint is not the magical solution we all hoped for. What about those little cracks that we often see in basement walls? Are those a big deal? Or can we just ignore them and hope they go away?
That's another one of those don't wait until it's a problem situations. Even a tiny crack can be an entry point for water. And once that water gets in, it can cause all sorts of damage. Mold, weakened foundation, you name it.
So it's not just about the water itself, it's about the potential domino effect it can trigger.
Exactly. It's like that old saying, for want of a nail, the shoe was lost.
Right.
For want of a shoe, the horse was lost. And for want of a horse, the rider was lost. A seemingly small crack can lead to some pretty big consequences.
Okay, point taken. Small cracks are not to be ignored. But surely if I have a French drain and a sump pump, I'm covered, right? No need to worry about those little cracks.
Well, remember what we said earlier.
Yeah?
Those systems are fantastic for managing water that's already inside. They don't stop the water from getting in there in the first place.
Right.
And those cracks are often the culprits.
So it's like having a state-of-the-art security system, but leaving your front door wide open.
Exactly. I like that one.
It just defeats the purpose.
You got to address all potential weak points.
Okay.
We want to create a comprehensive barrier, not just react to water that's already infiltrated your basement.
All right, another myth bites the dust. So we've talked a lot about the importance of professional waterproofing, but let's be honest, it's not the cheapest thing in the world.
Right.
A lot of people probably think it's just not in their budget.
I get it. Cost is a major factor for any homeowner.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Water damage is a lot more expensive than waterproofing. Think about it. Flooded basement, ruined belongings, potential mold remediation, structural repairs. Those costs can add up really quickly.
It's like the old saying, pay me now or pay me later. But you're going to pay.
You're going to pay one way or another.
Exactly.
And when you consider the long-term value it adds to your home, waterproofing is actually a smart investment.
Right.
It protects your property, your health, your peace of mind. Plus, it's a major selling point if you ever decide to put your house on the market.
So it's not just about fixing a problem. It's about preventing one and increasing the value of your home.
Absolutely.
Win-win.
Mm-hmm.
But even with all these benefits, some people might still be tempted to try the DIY route. What are your thoughts on that?
We get asked this DIY waterproofing all the time, and while we admire the can-do spirit,
Sure.
we strongly advise against it when it comes to your basement.
So it's not like painting a room or assembling some IKEA furniture.
Not even close.
Okay.
Basement waterproofing is a complex process that requires specialized knowledge, skills, and equipment.
Right.
You're dealing with the structural integrity of your home and the potential for serious water damage. It's best to leave it to the professionals who have the training and experience to do it right.
It's like trying to perform surgery on yourself. Sure, you could find videos online, but would you really want to risk it?
You're probably right.
Probably not.
When it comes to your home, it's always better to err on the side of caution and call in the experts.
For sure.
We've seen way too many DIY waterproofing attempts gone wrong, and the results can be disastrous.
Yeah, not worth the risk. Okay, so we've debunked the DIY myth, the waterproof paint myth, the small cracks are no big deal myth. We've talked about the importance of both interior and exterior waterproofing, and we even addressed the cost factor. What else is there? Are there any other misconceptions lurking out there?
Oh, you better believe it.
Oh, no.
We've barely scratched the surface.
I gotta say, after the last two parts, I'm kind of reeling,
Yeah.
So many things I thought I knew about waterproofing, just completely wrong.
It's amazing how much misinformation is out there.
It really is.
But that's why we're doing this, right?
That's right, yeah.
We want homeowners to have the facts so they can make the best decisions for their homes.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power. Okay, so what other waterproofing myths are we tackling today?
Well, let's talk about this idea that waterproofing is only necessary for older homes.
Ooh, that's a good one. I've definitely heard people say, my house is brand new, I don't need to worry about waterproofing.
Yeah, it's a common misconception, but unfortunately, it's not true.
Okay.
Even new builds can be susceptible to water damage.
Really?
Yeah, construction practices aren't always perfect,
Right.
and even minor settling can create cracks and openings that allow water to seep in.
So even if my house is like fresh off the market, I shouldn't rule out waterproofing.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's always better to be safe than sorry.
Right.
A professional inspection can identify any potential issues early on,
Okay.
so you can address them before they become major problems.
Makes sense. Prevention is key. Okay, what about the belief that a good gutter system is all you need to keep your basement dry?
Gutters are definitely important.
Right.
They help to direct rainwater away from your foundation, which is a big step in the right direction.
Yeah.
But they're only one piece of the puzzle.
So it's like assuming you'll win a soccer game just because you have a good goalie.
Exactly.
You need a strong defense too.
100%. Great analogy.
Yeah.
Even with perfectly functioning gutters, water can still find its way into your basement through cracks in your foundation, poor grading, or even hydrostatic pressure.
Hydrostatic pressure? Now what's that?
So hydrostatic pressure is basically the pressure that builds up from water in the soil surrounding your foundation.
Okay.
And it can push against your basement walls and force water through even the smallest openings.
So it's like this invisible force that's trying to sneak its way in.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
That's why a comprehensive waterproofing system is so important.
Right.
It's designed to address all potential sources of water intrusion, not just the obvious ones.
All right, myth busted. Gutters are great, but they're not a foolproof solution on their own. What about landscaping? Does that play a role in waterproofing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The way your yard is graded can have a huge impact on how water flows around your foundation.
Okay.
If the ground slopes towards your house, you're essentially inviting water to pool up against your basement walls.
So I need to make sure water flows away from my house, not towards it.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
Proper grading ensures that water is directed away from your foundation and towards a designated drainage area.
Okay.
Simple concept, but it makes a world of difference.
Another myth bites the dust. We've covered a lot of ground today, but I have a feeling we've only scratched the surface of all of the waterproofing myths out there.
Yeah, there's always more to learn.
Right.
But the important thing is to keep asking questions, do your research, and don't be afraid to reach out to the experts for guidance.
That's great advice. And for those of you listening who want to learn more, we have a ton of resources on our website, dgiwaterproofing.ca.
That's right, you'll find blog posts, videos, even a handy FAT section that covers all sorts of waterproofing topics.
And of course, if you're in the Toronto or GTA area and you're concerned about your basement, don't hesitate to give us a call.
Yeah, give us a shout.
We offer free consultations and inspections, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Absolutely. We're passionate about helping homeowners protect their biggest investment, and we're always happy to share our expertise.
And that's what makes this podcast so great. It's like having a direct line to the waterproofing pros. Well, that brings us to the end of this myth-busting extravaganza. We hope you found it informative and maybe even a little bit entertaining. Remember, knowledge is power. And when it comes to waterproofing, being informed is the best way to keep your basement dry, safe, and worry-free.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
And be sure to tune in next time for more Building Foundations.